Hello and welcome back. And in this video, we are going to be talking about pie chart and donut chart. So starting iOS 5 and iOS 17 and SwiftUI 5, charts framework started supporting pie charts and donut graphs as a built-in option. Now these charts are built using newly introduced sector mark, and sector mark is basically defined as a sector of a pie or donut chart, which shows how individual categories make up a meaningful total. Let's understand this with an example by building a simple expense view and visualize the expenses distributed among few categories. Okay, so we are going to create something here right in the file, and we're going to start by creating a expense struct, which is going to be basically our data model or our model that we're going to work with. So we're going to simply create a struct, and we're going to call this expense. This is going to be identifiable, and we're going to create an ID first from UUID, and then we're going to create a category, which is going to be of type string, and amount, which is going to be of type double. Okay, now for demo purposes, we can add some static data to this expense struct, which is our data model, and then we have some examples to work with. So we'll add some demo or just static data inside an extension. Okay, so we're gonna simply create an extension called expense, and we're gonna create static variable sample expense, and this basically is the sample is going to return an array of expense. So we just create that array and simply create some properties or some expenses. We're going to start with food, and these are, you can call it as monthly expenses. So 343.2 for example. Let's create another one. This is for rent, and 2343. Grocery is some number. Oh, we forgot the comma. And then we have gas. Okay, so we have some static data to work with. Now it's time to construct the pie chart. Now, similar to creating any other chart using charts framework, we will first incorporate the import the charts framework, and then we'll incorporate the chart view, passing the expenses data as an argument. Now, in order to represent each expenses in the pie chart, we will basically generate sector mark for each category using the expense amount, and using basically expense amount as the value for that sector marks angle. Okay, so you're gonna understand as soon as we start creating that. So let's go ahead and create it right here. I'm gonna first import charts framework, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a navigation stack. Inside the navigation stack, we're going to create a VStack, and then we're going to create our chart. Okay, now chart view takes data as the input, and because we have some expense sample data, we're just going to pass in. And since this expense struct basically conforms to identifiable protocol, then for that case, we don't need to specify the ID that each record needs to be identified, because ID is already defined at the expense level. Now this gives us access, this view as a closure gives us access to each expense, And we're gonna simply take that expense and create a sector mark here. Now sector mark takes an angle value, and this is the angle that actually sort of creates that pie for the chart. Okay, so we're gonna simply create a value, and the label for this value is going to be amount, and the value is going to be expense dot amount. Okay, so this would create basically a expense, and we just simply gonna we forgot this is the angle that we are providing. Okay, so now what we have is basically amount is being represented as basically the angle. Now the pie looks fine, but it would be beneficial if the each category were to represent by a distinct color. Right now it's being represented by the same color, and there is a fine line here that actually shows the difference between, like, different pies. So it shows, like, multiple pies, but they're not quite visible yet. So let's go ahead and represent each section or each pie with a distinct color, and this can be addressed by utilizing something called foreground style modifier, which basically formats the foreground based on the categories. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to simply go inside our sector mark, and we're going to add the foreground style right here. Now we're going to pick the overload that takes by, because then we can provide the plottable value, and that plottable value is going to determine what categorizes or what defines the color. So we want the color to be distributed by category, so we're going to simply take the value. The key is going to be category, and the value is going to be expense dot category. Okay, now by setting the category for each section, you can see that we have our chart distributed with a distinct color. And also notice that we have this legend that appears now, which actually defines what category is color coded by which amount. So you can see the rent takes the major portion in the expense, and then you have grocery, and then you have, like, basically this is gas, and this is the food. Okay, now let's incorporate some padding around the chart to provide add some breathing room, because you can see, like, this is bleeding out a little bit here. So what we're going to do is we're going to simply add some padding. Okay, and let's go ahead and add a title as well, and our title is going to be DT monthly expense. Okay, so this is our pie chart, and as you can see, we have this section that actually shows all the legends with different colors, and you can now see all the values basically that builds up this pie chart. Okay, now in the next video we're gonna basically continue forward from here, and what we're going to do is we're going to actually start looking at some more configuration options for the pie chart. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.